People are living in an age where getting around has become almost too easy. Modern bridges can connect vast seas, cross high mountains, and take us almost anywhere. But in many places in the world, the thing holding people back from the abyss is still just a few hand-woven ropes. There are bridges as thin as a DNA strand hanging in the sky. There are walkways that are just rotten planks shaking over a canyon. A gust of wind blows by, and the whole bridge shakes hard. Yet people still cross them every day. One misstep, a sudden gust of wind, or a broken wooden plank. All of these can turn the path to the other side into the most terrifying moment of free fall. Take a deep breath. Because right now, we are going to step into the world of the 20 most dangerous bridges on Earth. Structures so fragile, they seem as if they should not exist. Are you calm enough to finish this journey without your legs shaking? Hussaini Hanging Bridge, Pakistan. Located in the Gilgit-Baltistan region of Pakistan, the Hussaini Hanging Bridge crosses the Hunza River at an altitude of 2,600 meters. This nearly 200-meter-long bridge is compared to a rope ladder to heaven. Its structure is just a mess of rusty cables and rotting wooden planks. They are spaced 30 to 50 centimeters apart. Wind from the valley suddenly whips at you. In just a few seconds, the entire bridge starts tilting under your feet like a death hammock. Villagers built the bridge by hand in the 1970s. While you tremble and cling tightly to the cables, locals move swiftly across the deadly gaps. Conquering Hussaini is a brutal test of balance and instinctual fear. Stepping onto a broken plank means gambling with your life. Kuandinsky Bridge, Russia. The Kuandinsky Bridge crossing the Vitim River in the Trans-Baikal region of Russia is definitely not for the faint of heart. Originally an abandoned railway project from the 1980s, this 570-meter ruin is a mix of a rusty steel frame and rotting wooden sleepers. The bridge is barely 2 meters wide, just enough for a car. It sits dangerously 15 meters above the rushing water with absolutely no guardrails. Crossing Kuandinsky seems to have become a rite of passage. To survive, you have to roll down your windows to reduce wind pressure and get ready to escape if the wood breaks. Even though slipping off the tracks happens all the time, the sound of wood cracking under the tires still has a strange appeal, pushing travel junkies to conquer their limits once in their lives. Quechua Bridge, Peru. Are you brave enough to bet your life on the strength of dried grass? In Cusco, Peru, there is a weird structure called Quechua. This is the last Inca grass bridge in the world with absolutely no support pillars. At an altitude of 3,700 meters, this 35-meter-long bridge is woven from tens of thousands of dried coya grass strands. It hangs 20 meters above the fierce Apurimac River. Because there are no support pillars, the bridge always shakes violently in the high-altitude winds. Under the floor, lined with branches, deep drops are always waiting to appear, as if to swallow you whole. Definitely don't forget that what is holding you up is not steel or concrete. It's the trust in tens of thousands of dried grass strands stretching across the canyon. Ruyi Bridge, China. Once hunted down by millions around the world who thought it was just CGI, the Ruyi Bridge in Zhejiang province, China, is actually a real-life nightmare. With a length of 100 meters, the bridge hangs at a height of 140 meters and has a unique twisting two-level structure. From afar, it looks like a giant DNA strand draped across two steep cliffs. The most terrifying part of the bridge is the clear, tempered glass floor. This element makes you feel like you're walking straight on thin air. Even though a bridge collapse has never happened, the fear here is real. Tourists freezing up or crying uncontrollably out of fear is an everyday thing. Carrick-a-Rede Rope Bridge, Northern Ireland. In the middle of the Atlantic coast, Carrick-a-Rede connects a steep cliff to a volcanic rock island. The 20-meter-long suspension bridge hangs dangerously 30 meters above the rolling seawater. Carrick-a-Rede doesn't use tempered glass. Its structure is pretty basic, just wooden planks and tightly woven ropes swinging violently with every howling gust of wind. Over 350 years ago, fishermen built this bridge to reach the cut-off migrating fish paths. They had to face fierce waves, betting it all just to make a living. Back in the day, the bridge only had a single handrail rope. That meant every crossing was putting bravery over your own life. Today, when you step onto the shaky wooden planks, you can almost still hear the echoes of those brave fishermen in the misty ocean. Trift Bridge, Switzerland. Hidden in the Gadman area of Switzerland, the Trift Bridge hangs at an altitude of 1,720 meters. At 170 meters long and 100 meters above a turquoise glacial lake, it's a suspension bridge just wide enough for one person to walk. The bridge was built in 2004 as a result of climate change. It is the only way across since the melting Trift Glacier wiped out the old path. Because it has no shock absorption system, the simple wooden surface is super sensitive to mountain winds. Just a light breeze is enough to turn it into a swing in the middle of nowhere. Here, making a life or death mistake is something that is not allowed to happen. Because right beneath your feet is freezing water that can cause cold shock and death in a split second. The Trift Bridge is not for people in a rush. It only surrenders to those patient enough to wait for the wind to die down, to cross the fragile line between life and the abyss. Titlis Cliff Walk, Switzerland. As the highest suspension bridge in Europe, the Titlis Cliff Walk, located in Switzerland, is like a steel blade hanging at a breathtaking altitude of 3,041 meters. This strip is 100 meters long, but only 1 meter wide. Its mission is to connect two steep cliffs. Through the galvanized steel mesh floor, you can see right down the 500-meter drop under your feet. Even though it's supported by 29 super-strong cables, the bridge still shakes violently in wind gusts up to 200 kilometers per hour. Opened in 2012, the Titlis Cliff Walk became a challenge for brave legs. Plenty of tourists have had to kneel down or crawl on all fours because their brains just froze up. Here, nature doesn't forgive mistakes. A slip on the slippery mesh floor or getting careless while taking pictures in a snowstorm can both lead to a tragedy. Zhangjiajie Glass Bridge, China. What would you do if under your feet was a 300-meter deep drop, and the only thing standing between you and death was a 5-centimeter thick piece of glass? In Hunan province, the Zhangjiajie Glass Bridge isn't just an architectural wonder, but a place where your survival instinct gets pushed to the limit. Stretching 430 meters to connect two massive sandstone cliffs, this bridge makes the dream of walking in mid-air a reality. The bridge deck is 6 meters wide, put together from 99 pieces of 5-centimeter thick tempered glass. The pure transparency of the glass challenges anyone's survival instinct. Stepping onto here, you will feel like you're walking straight into nothingness. The danger of Zhangjiajie doesn't come from its structure, but from extreme psychological pressure. It's the feeling of stepping out into thin air without any safety harness. Bach Long Glass Bridge, Vietnam. Stretching 632 meters, the Bach Long Glass Bridge in Moc Chau, Vietnam isn't just a bridge. It's a nerve test. The glass floor hangs 150 meters high. On foggy days, you will feel like you're walking on clouds. Everything is pure white, almost unreal. When the sun comes out, that feeling disappears really fast. The clear glass exposes the entire deep gorge right under your feet. Just look down a little, and you'll see a massive empty space below. Bach Long Bridge opened in 2022 and is considered a safe structure. However, that doesn't mean it's easy to cross. Wind sneaks through the mountain gap. The bridge sometimes bounces slightly under each step. Just one little shake is enough to make a lot of people freeze up. Some people almost have to crawl across the glass. Standing in the howling mountain wind, in front of the majestic northwest view, you'll understand why this place is worth a try. The fear is very real, but the feeling of beating it is even stronger. Capilano Suspension Bridge, Canada. Located in North Vancouver, the Capilano Suspension Bridge stretches 137 meters across a lush, green canyon. Down below is a deep, cold Canadian rainforest that almost swallows your vision whole. This bridge was built in 1889. At first, it was made of just rough ropes and wooden planks. Because of the creaking sound that rang out every time someone walked across, it used to be called the Laughing Bridge. Capilano hangs about 70 meters high, the equivalent of a 20-story building. The bridge deck is only 1.5 meters wide, just enough for you to get across. Every step makes the bridge sway. When there are a lot of tourists, the wobbling is even more obvious. You don't just see the bridge moving, you also feel the fear of the people around you. The wooden surface can be slippery after it rains. The crowd makes the space tighter. And in the middle of the bridge, if just one person panics, the whole span seems to tense up with them. Capilano doesn't need to scare you with accidents. It just needs to shake a little. That's enough. Vienna Bridges, Japan. In the middle of Japan's Iya Valley, there's a path that leads straight into nowhere. At 45 meters long and hanging 14 meters above a rushing rocky river, the bridge is woven from vines and sparse wooden planks. The most dangerous part is the gaps under your feet that are up to 20 centimeters wide. You can see right down the gorge with every violent shake. Created 800 years ago during the Heian period, the Vine Bridge was actually a survival tactic of the Heike clan. They built the bridge out of vines so they could cut it at any moment to stop enemies. Legend has it that the wind howling through the bridge gaps is the crying of ancient warriors. Every step you take feels like a journey, touching historical pain. Mount Hua Plankwalk, China. Located in Shanxi Province, China, the Mount Hua Trail is the truest definition of adventure, with the terrifying plankwalk in the sky section. Dubbed the Bridge to the Afterlife, the path is really just rough wooden planks, barely 30 centimeters wide. They are pinned directly into the sheer cliff, over 2,150 meters high. The only thing for you to hold on to are cold iron chains. Even though you are now required to use a safety harness when going through this area, the instinctual fear is always there. If you're brave enough to make it across, your reward is a peaceful tea house sitting right in the middle of the clouds. Taking a sip of elegant tea right after escaping the Grim Reaper is definitely the most unforgettable experience of a lifetime. Are you ready to conquer this peak? Ai-Petri Bridge, Russia. At an amazing height of 1,234 meters on the majestic Crimean Peninsula, the Ai-Petri suspension bridge consists of two hammock-style rope spans nearly 45 meters long, connecting jagged cliffs. Without using tempered glass, the walkway is just rough wooden planks grabbing onto steel cables. It exposes the deep, endless drop right under the soles of your feet. Finished around 2015. The bridge is the result of a battle with the Kingdom of Wind, a place where wind speeds hit 50 meters per second. Engineers had to hang themselves in thick fog and biting cold to install every link, aiming to conquer a mountain peak isolated by treacherous terrain. Locals believe the Ai-Petri Peak is the closest place to heaven. Walking across the bridge in the clouds, people feel like they're walking on the line between life and death to find absolute peace of mind. Kakum Canopy Walkway, Ghana. Deep inside Kakum National Park, Ghana, there is a walkway hanging in the West African jungle, like Tarzan's rope ladder strung across the treetops. That's the Kakum Canopy Walkway. This structure is made up of 7 suspension bridges, totaling 350 meters long. They connect observation decks sitting on ancient tree trunks. The height of Kakum hits 40 meters. The bridge deck is only about 0.6 meters wide. Very narrow, just enough for one person to cross. Every step makes the wooden boards sag. The bridge cables sway lightly. Then the vibration runs along the bridge, going straight into your body. The air in Kakum is always heavy with moisture. Humidity can pass 80%. Fog clings to the tree canopy. Water vapor coats the wooden boards. everything gets more slippery, slower, and more stressful. Here, staying calm is the most important thing. A jump scare, a rushed footstep, or leaning out too far to take a picture can also turn this experience into a dangerous moment. Laguna Garzon Bridge, Uruguay. The Laguna Garzon Bridge in Uruguay doesn't shock you with its height. It gets your attention with its shape. Looking down from above, the bridge looks like a perfect circle sitting in the middle of the water. Two curved lanes hugging each other, unlike any normal bridge. For decades, building a bridge here was a debated topic, because this place didn't just need traffic, it also needed protection. So, the circular design was born. Not just for looks, Laguna Garzon also forces cars to slow down. No one can speed through such a smooth curve. Everything slows down. The sound of car engines gets quieter. Your view gets wider. And you'll have time to look out at the water, the sky, the sea breeze, and the wild nature around you. Eshima Ohashi Bridge, Japan. The road shoots straight up. Cars look like they are crawling up a concrete wall. The closer you get, the more the top of the bridge looks like a breaking point. That is Eshima Ohashi, the Japanese bridge that once grabbed the whole world's attention. It stretches about 1.7 kilometers and is nearly 44 meters high, built so large cargo ships can pass underneath without stopping the traffic above. In 2013, the bridge showed up in a car commercial. The camera angle used a telephoto lens that compressed the whole distance. The slope that normally just goes up gradually became almost totally vertical. The bridge deck was pulled upright in the frame, turning Eshima Ohashi into a scary bridge on the internet. In real life, it's not as dangerous as the famous photos. The actual slope is still within the safe driving limits for cars. However, the visual feeling is definitely intense. You know the bridge is safe. You know cars still cross it every day. Even so, when you see the road curving up into the sky, your brain still reacts like there's an impossible climb ahead. Millau Viaduct, France. From a distance, the Millau Viaduct in France looks like a thin strip of road hanging between the clouds and mountains. The bridge deck stretches across the Tarn River Valley at a massive height. Below is an endless drop. All around are mountains, wind and white clouds drifting right at eye level. On foggy days, the valley part completely disappears. All you see is the road, the giant bridge pillars, and the feeling that your car is driving in mid-air. Millau was built between 2001 and 2004 to solve serious traffic jams in the town as an engineering marvel. But for drivers, it's still a very unusual experience. That's exactly what makes Millau special. Tourists from all over the world still come here to feel the strong wind, white clouds, and the almost endless height. Ganhaizi Bridge, China. Among the steep cliffs of Sichuan, the Ganhaizi Bridge looks like a road suspended halfway up in the sky. The bridge line stretches 1,811 meters and sits at an altitude of over 2,500 meters above sea level. It curves along the steep mountainside over treacherous rocky slopes. Support pillars up to 117 meters high lift the bridge off the broken terrain below. Cars driving on it feel like they're cruising on a highway in the clouds. On one side is the cliff. On the other side is a wide open space. In the distance are rocky slopes that have been threatened by earthquakes and landslides. Ganhaizi was finished in 2012 to connect remote mountain areas that were often cut off. Before there was a bridge, the old road was a nightmare for locals. Danyang-Kunshan Grand Bridge, China. The Danyang-Kunshan Grand Bridge is about 164.8 kilometers long. It currently holds the Guinness record for being the longest bridge in the world. This structure is part of the Beijing to Shanghai high-speed railway, finished in 2010 after about 4 years of construction. The feeling of danger doesn't come from the height. It comes from the speed and the almost endless stretch. Below is water, mud, and areas that can flood seasonally. Up above, the train still speeds along steadily. It's like sliding on a steel strip hanging over soft ground. The nearly 9-kilometer section, crossing Yangcheng Lake, makes the scene even more surreal. From a distance, the train looks like it's slicing right across the lake. No stopping points, no sense of the ground below. Danyang-Kunshan is scary because it's too huge to grasp with the naked eye, and it's unbelievable because humans turned hundreds of kilometers of water and mud into a massive viaduct line. Akashi Kaikyo Bridge, Japan. Stretching across the Akashi Strait, the Akashi Kaikyo Bridge connects Honshu Island to Awaji Island. Looking from a distance, the two 282-meter-high bridge towers stand tall in the middle of the sea, like two giant gates. In the middle is the main span, stretching 1,991 meters. Nearly 2 kilometers of the bridge deck hangs right over the water, held up by giant bundles of steel cables. When you drive across here, you can feel the bridge deck vibrate slightly under your tires. It seems to move with the weight load. But this isn't a technical flaw. This is how the bridge survives. Inside each tower are 20 massive shock absorbers. They swing in the opposite direction of the wind, helping the whole structure handle wind speeds up to 286 kilometers per hour. Akashi Kaikyo doesn't stand still to fight nature. It has to bend with the wind, so it doesn't get torn apart by the fierce strait itself. The bridges you just crossed aren't just dangerous because of their height, narrowness, or sketchy locations. They're scary because they all make people wonder, how can this thing exist in real life? Which bridge makes you want to try crossing it the most? Which bridge gives you chills just looking at it? Leave a comment down below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe so you don't miss our next heart-stopping journeys. See you next time.